Hello, and thanks again for taking the time to watch this video. As we still don't really know how much Super Slam will impact the meta, there's one thing that we do know, and that is that people love Florian. So just in some of the most recent battle hardens, Florian came out the winner and was also very well presented. He achieved some very good winning percentages, and so we need to expect him to be a big chunk of the meta, at least for the next couple of weeks. And given that Mario has, at least in my eyes, always been struggling a little bit into Florian, this is definitely a matchup that I need to learn way better. And so just the other day, I played a couple of games against my friend Niko, and here's one of the games that we played. In this case, it is the Disruption Focus list from Dan Rutkowski. So let's take a look into the game. All right, so Niko elected that I have to start here. I do have a Kiss of Death, Reaper's Call, Torrential Toxin, Shred. And there's one thing that I learned from Dan Rutkowski recently, and that is to get the most value out of the cards, because otherwise you don't win against Florian, right? So always play Torrential Toxin for 6. And so I thought that here in turn 0, I know, yes, my opponent is blocking here, but here I can definitely get 6 value out of the Tarantula Toxin. Not really thinking about that, my opponent might have D-Reacts here, but I had the Shred, so I felt good against 1 D-React at least. I mean, if this would go through, you would lose 7 life in total, which would be amazing here. But as it turns out, Niko had a second D-React in his starting hand, so ultimately only coming in for 4 damage plus the flick, it's 5. I think it's still fine to play it this way. I mean, he'll have the D-Reacts eventually, and here I was really getting at least some good value out of the Torrential Toxin and the Shred. Not having an arsenal, of course, is not ideal here. But let me know what you think, if I should have done this play here in turn 0 or not. My next hand is a little bit more difficult. I have a Pain in the Backside, Leave No Witnesses, Just a Nick, and Stains of the Red Bag. Both Just a Nick and Stains of the Red Bag are not really convertible here. So I definitely should look out to keep my life total here as high as possible, because I need to present some damage and get Florian low to kill him. So I need to create this life gap here. So I decide to block with Just Nick and Stains of the Red Bag and attack with a Pain in the Backside and the Leave No Witnesses. I think there is a world where I should keep the Stains in the Red Bag in Arsenal, but it would also mean that I'm already down to 34 and he is up in life. So again, not 100% sure what would have been the best line here. Here, Pain in the Backside, very clear blocking target for Florian. Super easy, it's just 3 and he avoids another damage. And here, coming in with the Leave No Witnesses for 4. He doesn't have an arsenal, so not threatening this, but I mean, top card could be something nice. At the same time, I see Florian often letting this hit, especially if they expect an Earth card to be on top. But in this case, he did not want to do this. His hand obviously didn't convert as well, so he blocked with the Tome as well as the Felling, which is nice for me. Obviously here, the Florian value comes in with pitching a blue to come in for 4, later for 5. So I decided not to block the arcane damage, but here giving him the Reaper's Call for 3. I have 2 blues, I don't need both, so blocking out the 3 damage here. So now I should definitely pitch into Hunter's Clay first, most likely with the Mark of the Black Widow or the Persuasive. In this case, I chose the Persuasive, ideally marking him, which is not the case because he immediately blocked with a Canopy Shelter, so having the Might token as well. As he doesn't have an arsenal, I decided now to use the Mark of the Black Widow, but I'm not so sure that this was right. Probably I should have attacked with the Leave No Witnesses, because the Mark of the Black Widow doesn't do anything here. If I would have had the option to keep the Reaper's Call, it could have been better, right? Because I could mark Florian and then Mark of the Black Widow come in for 2 and could threaten the banish from the hand card. But here, there's not really much value playing the Mark of the Black Widow. So probably I should have played the Leave No Witnesses, put the Mark of the Black Widow in Arsenal, getting a chance to mark him. And also, I mean, I still have 2 Justinic in my deck, so I could make it definitely more threatening. So here putting the Leave No Witnesses in Arsenal, and next hand is probably one of the worst that I can draw. First of all, no blues, but then 3 red Mark of the Black Widow. What a hand. Yeah, given I don't have much resources, there's not a lot of option for me to mark my opponent. And as I've noticed in the first few turns here already, he is putting quite some effort into not getting marked and blocking the Hunter's Clave. So even if I would pitch one of the Mark of the Black Widows and the Tunic, it is absolutely not guaranteed that I would mark him. If I would play the Save Bloodshed first and then use the resources, I would come in for 5, but then he puts 2 cards in front of it. That's the thing. Florian blocks really well. And so I decide here to block for 6 with 2 of the Mark of the Black Widows. Even though it hurts, I mean, it's a very strong card here. And because I still have the Leave No Witnesses in Arsenal, so I can threaten some damage. But as this hand does not really convert well, there's not that much incentivization to keep these cards. So here I even should think about blocking with the last Mark of the Black Widow to avoid the damage, because again, I cannot really convert this well here. So yeah, maybe not taking 3 more damage here is the way to go. Cool, so here I just play the Leave No Witnesses. He has an Arsenal, most likely a D-React, because otherwise he probably wouldn't Arsenal. So I can play this here, put the Save Bloodshed into Arsenal, and go to my next turn. And he gives me 2 cards, so that was definitely good value, getting 2 cards for the 4 attack. So obviously it wasn't a direct in Arsenal. And here I can go back to my next turn. Oh, and here, this definitely hurts me. If I could keep the Saber Bloodshed, it would be 4, 8, 12, 16, 17 damage from a Hunter's Clave. If I use the and even like 20 in total because of the pain in the backside. So that would have been a nice hand. But here, because all cards in my hand block for 2, so I would need to give him 3 cards in total. That would be in theory, 12 damage lost, while I keep 4 in my arsenal. So -8, I can't do that. So here I need to use the resource and also use the pain in the backside to come in for 13. So 13 versus 17, definitely difference. I'm not threatening anything here. This is just naked damage plus a mark. So in theory, he could go down to 22 and come in with a 5-card hand. Obviously, will never do that because, Florians rarely are capable of playing a 5-card hand. And here he has a Germinate, a Canopy Shelter, Channel of the Millennium Tree, and Shelter from the Storm. So at least he gives me the Canopy Shelter and the Shelter from the Storm, I would argue, maybe even more, to not get all of this damage. And so he blocks with Canopy Shelter and Millennium Tree for now. I would expect the Shelter of the Storm from the Storm to still come down. That would cover 9 in total, so he would take 4, go down to 31, and he still has a blue in hand, so he can come back for an arcane damage and 3 physical. And so here he does it. He plays the Shelter from the Storm. And he even created a Might, so his weapon is coming in for 4. Okay, here, definitely good. I transformed into Orb-Weaver. So I should definitely try to use a card to discard to get the Chelicera. And here, first of all, he comes in for Felling of the Crown. So probably from my hand, the right thing to do is to put the Codex on the bottom of the deck, because that is very useful at a later stage. And I decided wrongly here, right? Because I think what I figured is I need 2 resources for the Hunter's Clave, but I don't, right? Because I have Orb-Weaver, I can take up the mantle as my card to discard. I'll play the Save Bloodshed. Also, I could have played the Upsticks and run, and I would come in for 9 in total, threatening, no, even more, right? Because of the, so 12 in total, and on it draw a card. Because here he doesn't have an arsenal, right? So he would need to give me quite a few cards for me to get value out of the codex. And here, I definitely get hurt here, right? Because he has the Face Purgatory, so I need to discard my Codex of Frailty. I mean, it would have been nice if I could play the Codex of Frailty and him not blocking this entirely, so I could get rid of his arsenal again. Yeah, but playing Codex here with an open arsenal is just too threatening also for him to just like get a felling, block it out, and play the felling. So here I should have definitely put the Codex on bottom of deck, and I should have used the Upsticks and Run to have a way more threatening Chelicera, most likely something he could not really block out or only without keeping any cards. But here he basically didn't take any damage, down a Codex, and he's coming back for 4 damage, even still having, 2 cards in hand. So in this case, I only need 1 of the blues, so again, preserving a little bit of life. And probably, well, a few things I could do. Play the Cut from the Same Cloth, and then using the Shred as a resource for the Graphene Chelicera, and then coming in with the Persuasive Prognosis for 1, or for 2 if he would have blocked the Graphene Chelicera. Now here, also, well, this is also a nice option, of course, where I use the Persuasive Prognosis to come in for 2 with the Chelicera. Next up, I would play the Cut from the Same Cloth, and then use the 2 remaining resources for Hunter's Glaive, so that in total would be 7 damage, and I could still use the Shred in order to get some damage through, or alternatively put it into my arsenal, maybe for a more threatening card. Here I get to see his hand. It's Autumn's Touch, Fruit of the Forest, and Everbloom Life. So enough blues for whatever he wants to do. And here I choose to just get the value from Shred and get through 3 damage. Not sure if it would have made sense to keep it in Arsenal. Let's see what the next hand brings, then we can evaluate that a little bit better. All right, next turn. Prognosis, Exposed, Codex, and Take Up the Mantle. So there are definitely a few options here. I mean, he's marked, so Take Up the Mantle is life. And so I could come in with a Persuasive Prognosis, use the Take Up the Mantle to buff this, and maybe get out a red Mark of the Black Widow. Then the Exposed would still be there to give 1 additional value. I could use the Snapdragon Scalers for Go again, or I could use the Exposed also for all right, so what I can do here is activate Chelicera right away and come in for 1 Go again because of the mark. I could then for example attack with a Hunter's Glaive again to get it marked again. I could also play the Persuasive Prognosis and then use the Take Up the Mantle. No, first I use the Exposed to get it marked again, up to 2, and then we use the Take Up the Mantle to go up to 5, switch it out with the red Mark of the Black Widow, that would go up to 8 if I'm not mistaken. We could give Go again for Codex, and then leave no witnesses. And ideally also needs to banish a card, but as oftentimes with Florian, he probably has 1 more D-React, which would allow to cover the Mark of the Black Widow in full. And he has 1. And this is now a bit unfortunate because it opens up his arsenal slot again. And now playing Codex, there are 2 Felling of the Crown and 1 CNC, so I should not play the Codex here, but I do. And so now he can get back a Felling of the Crown. He can block with 1 card and maybe his shoes. I think, no, they're not live yet, but he could block with 1 card and the Grasp of the Arknight, and then come back with the Felling for 8, because there's a Frailty, but there's also a Might, so it still is 8. So this was definitely an absolute wrong decision because I gave him so much value here by using the Codex. Okay, so He discarded Fruits of the Forest. He chose Felling of the Crown. So here he gives me his arm pieces. So here he gives me his arm pieces and 1 card. Plow under. So he has a blue left to play Felling for 8. And yeah, this was a huge mistake, 100%. Not the best Arsenal target, but I do have a Just a Nick here and a Stains of the Red back. Yeah, so I mean, first of all, it was a big mistake to get him to the position to play Felling of the Crown here, but now I need to put a card under deck. It's probably going to be Command and Conquer. If I don't block, I could go Mark of the Black Widow and then use Stains of the Red back and maybe Just a Nick on the Mark of the Black Widow to push through some damage. I'd also get Go again, ideally banish a card from his hand, and then I could come in with the Art of Desire Mind afterwards. But I'm already down to 12 life, so this is very tough already. But I'm threatening some damage here, which is nice. So he starts blocking with the Fruits of the Forest. And I'll use the Just a Nick right away, both modes. Also probably use the Stains of the Red back. That brings it up to 10. Go again on it, banish a card. Let's see. Now he still has a D-React that he can use. So he's getting 4 damage because of the Decompose. So we get to banish top card of his deck, as well as 1 card from his hand that he can choose. And now come in with the Art of Desire Mind. So he's passing, so I would guess he's using the Well-Grounded. Yeah, he is preventing 2 damage. But so, yeah, also the on-hit, of course, then from Art of Desire Mind. He's still up ahead, 11 life. He's probably having a blue, so coming in for 1 and 3. No, 2 and 3 because he's live. So now we're being threatened with 5 damage each turn. Yeah, the best defense is offense here, I guess. That's why I do not elect to block the arcane. Not the arcane damage here. But yeah, take the Reaping Blade, go down to 7. And so I think what my thought here is that I could attack him in a way where I do use Mark of the Black Widow to pitch into Hunter's Clave, having 1 floating. I can flick the Graphene Chelicera, play Orb-Weaver plus Kiss of Death, coming in for 8 then, if I'm not mistaken. Because he's marked now. Oh, 7, correct. 7, him not blocking. And now I thought I can play the Codex and play a Command and Conquer, which makes it obviously much more difficult for him to block. But I'm not sure I had one in Arsenal yet. Let's check. And I did not. And here, well, this is probably the most classic mistakes ever. I should have just looked. I should have looked into my graveyard or remembered that I don't have a Command and Conquer yet. So yeah, this was pretty bad. Because now, again, he can take a Felling. And in this case, he actually did choose for a Rune Rager Swarm. Well, not sure what his head is, but it probably makes sense, even though he has a frailty. Okay, so he lets it hit. Interesting. Probably not have chosen a red there to not give me the silver. But here he comes with 3 cards. I mean, life total is kind of equal, but there's probably a lot coming at me right now. And the downside is I only have reds here. I mean, it's all powerful, right? There's quite some damage in my hand, but he did have a Felling in hand. So he's coming in for 4 arcane, which I can barely block because I don't have a blue. So I could use the Tunic resource. And I would need to put a card underneath deck, probably one of the 2 blocks, and then block this out, I assume. Yeah, but there's not much I can do about this damage coming in. So I'm really on the back foot here, down to 4 life. Now I need to put a card underneath deck, and I can block 7. So taking another damage, going down to 3. This does not look good. But we already spotted quite some mistakes, right? So there are definitely some things that I hope I will not do again in my next match against Florian. So here again, not much resources to work with. Another Torrential Toxin, which is nice, but my opponent is still at 10, so not really like too threatening. It's nice that we have the Inertia Trap, but at the end it's also only 3 block. Because here his attack does not have more power. He's not marked, so I need to hit him with the Clave as well as with the Chelicera to get value out of it. So for now, he's coming in for 5, so I block with the Inertia Trap here for now, going down to 1. So he's pitching into the Rune Chance first. Now he comes in with the Command and Conquer. So I can take up the Mantle for the 2 Arcane, and now block 6 and go to the next turn. But I'm like, there's no way anymore that I can win this because I'm not allowed to hold cards. I'm down to 1 life. I need to defend everything he sends at me. Luckily now I have the blue, which is good to get rid of some of the Rune Chance. But yeah, there's just nothing for me to win here anymore, unfortunately. So he comes in with an Arcane Seeds that creates 4 Rune Chance in total, plus the Rune Rager Storm. So yeah, I can use the blue, which is great. Then I can use the red to also pitch into one of the Arcanes with one of the 3 blocks. And then he still comes in with at least another 3 damage. If not more. If it's more, I'm dead. And yeah, there are 2 more Arcane, which I cannot block. So here is GG. Yeah, tough game. Definitely some mistakes that I did. First of all, obviously, my Codex misplay 100%. Then when I was Orb-Weaver and decided to put the Upsticks and Run underneath deck, that was also definitely a mistake where I lost quite some value. And then at the end, also, like my Tarantula Toxins just didn't line up except for turn 0, which also might have been a mistake. So yeah, really interested in your opinion. What could I have done better? Probably a lot. And do you have any tips against Florian to make this matchup more bearable? I'll definitely test quite a bit more into Florian before calling Hamburg, and I really hope to see you there. So thanks for watching and take care. Bye-bye.